You know, you don't have to have a tsunami effect out there. You just say, I want to make a difference, and you start someplace. There are many organizations that you can be a part of and you can get involved with. You know, be it you decide what you want to do, and you align yourself with them. For example, OJU here at University of Miami. I was talking to David a couple nights ago, as a matter of fact, and having seen his promotion, I said, you know, David, I was going indirectly, I really admire the way you do those things on the internet, and he just knew where I was coming from. He said, you know what, and I started to say what we are, and we have this banquet coming up, and he said, I'd be willing to, and you want me to promote it? I said, here goes. And he went a step further, do you have a website? That's what I'm talking about.
Right, okay. David, what about you? When you came back home from school?
Well,
or you were here?
Well, yeah, my journey has been slightly different. I came in '96 straight into into college, and I was 15 when I started at Broad Community College. Went to UM, graduated in December 2000, went back home to Jamaica, played soccer professionally, worked, came back to do my MBA, and then went back home again. So I've been back and forth. I just moved back 2 years ago in 2006, May 2006. So I had the benefit of being able to be in Jamaica, but having a slightly different perspective, and playing football professionally in Jamaica was a very interesting experience for me, because I played at Real Mona, which is an uptown team, you know, based in Hope Pastures, that kind of thing, and I was a clean-shaven guy, just like his goatee, and I remember playing, and of course I played with guys that they didn't have socks, they didn't have boots, they'd come to training and not have any food, and I would routinely, you know, provide some food and so on, and they gave me an inside view into their world, and I felt I was discriminated against because I got number 10, which is the worst thing that can happen. So I have number 10, so the uptown rich boy that drive the Pajero, the SUV, get number 10. And then I remember I was playing against the tip of the team, and the coach on the sideline kept shouting, oh, don't worry about the pretty boy, don't mind the pretty boy. That was the first half, and when the second half come, man, the pretty boy, man. And I had to go to him afterwards and say, why you call me pretty boy? And he's like, light skin, clean shave, you look like Will Smith or something, you look very well dressed. That's why I call it that. So we worked out a deal to videotape their events, their games, and help them send these tapes out to colleges in the States. And a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, lives in Standpipe, which I used to walk past Standpipe. I used to walk to Campion to class, well, walk home from school. Went into his area, and he showed me and said, this is my reality, it's not the same as your house, David. You live 5 minutes up the road, completely different. So that's when I decided I need to figure out a way to get there, to give a voice to these people. As we talk about communication, so I got my video camera, we were doing real life stuff, and we said, fine, I'm going to do a little interview with this guy. And you never know where it's going to go. 3 years later, we have the interview up on Facebook, and we have people commenting and saying, hey, this is great, can I work with you? So that is the way that I have focused on helping, and we don't have to have a giant, you don't have to start a company and be able to donate $1 million. When my wife got me into Facebook last year, June, I immediately set up a group called Young Jamaicans Unite. We now have 1,560 members across the world. But mainly in Jamaica and in America, and we talk about the issues facing Jamaica, how we can deal with solving the problems. Everybody comes up with solutions, we debate what is going on, we read the news every day, we discuss, and we try to plan events, and we also try to find non-profit organizations and help support them. And then the final one I'd say is that if you do happen to have a business or some skill, you should find a way to donate that skill to benefit an organization. I'm helping to stream this event live. We actually helped to promote it on the site, but the one that really touched me was last year, Robert and I and my wife Catherine decided to volunteer for a group called Upliftment Jamaica that does work mainly in St. Thomas. And I wanted to network. I was brought up that networking is important and volunteering is the best way to network, and do it for genuine stuff. Don't do it just because you want to connect with a business person. It so happened that the founder of Upliftment Jamaica is the vice president of Fat Farm and Rush Communications, and he's Jamaican. And he's also someone in his inner circle, so on a first-name basis, and the hurricane hit Jamaica. And he texted me, he sent me a text message that morning and said, David, this child is dying in my arms, I need help, we need to put something up on the website to get people to send donations. So I was the one who had to coordinate getting information on the website. The consulate sent an email about how to get donations to Jamaica. And we set up a page instantly on Real Vibes, realvibes.com/youcanhelp. And we put banner ads all over the website. Please send, here's the information that they can get to the consulate. And that is how I think people can help. If you know how to use some piece of technology to help, do it. There are so many free ways for us to do it. We can do little interviews and put them up on YouTube, email to our friends, and let it go from there. Use Facebook, just use it.
I was just thinking earlier, how do you reach out? All of us seem to be very passionate about reaching Jamaica and making an impact, but how do you reach out to those who just don't care or who may not know? How do you ignite that fire in them so that they can be another person? Anybody, that's open to the students, faculty, everybody.
I believe we have a collective responsibility in every time to the German philosopher Nietzsche. Nietzsche says that which connects is virtuous. As Jamaicans, the diaspora, I'm from Guyana, very fractured society in terms of race. Mr. Ali Cock is actually half Guyanese. So we can lay claim,
about 50%.
we can also lay claim to him. But coming from the Caribbean does not mean I cannot punch above my weight. I have put the map of the Caribbean globally, much like my uncle Sir Sridhar Ramphal, who was the Secretary General of the Commonwealth. We, people in the Caribbean, have produced 4 Nobel Prize winners. And I think we need to reach deep down in our consciousness and understand that we are a formidable force in global music. Jamaicans, you have a brand. I said this to Prime Minister Golding, all the way in New Zealand. I smelled jerk chicken coming out of an alleyway. So it's not uncommon to find Caribbean nationals in many parts of the world. The new UN Assistant Secretary General Pollard is a Guyanese. She's in charge of all of the human resources issue for the UN globally. And I think we have a collective, as well as an individual, and a moral responsibility to reach out to our less fortunate brothers and sisters.
So the more philosophical approach from inspiration.
Yes, we need to thank God for the little we have and help those around us who do not have as much, to give them a hand to get up there, because we don't know where the next Bill Gates or next Google type founder may come from. So I'm a strong believer in breaking down barriers. I'm a strong believer in unifying humanity and building this whole global human network that Cisco talks about.
Let me ask Byron, the next Donald Trump, how do you inspire people?
Well, it's a wonderful question, and the first thing is, initially when I've always been active in volunteering, I've always assumed that people have the same passion that I do. The average person generally doesn't have the same passion that you do starting out. And so you have to recognize that it's important to sell someone on pieces of the vision that motivate them and have them recognize the value of it for themselves. Most people look at volunteerism and they perceive it as something that you put out, mainly because they don't recognize the value of the social capital that comes from it. You know, David spoke about networking. Well, I always say to people, listen, I don't care if you're doing this because you're selfish and you have self-interest. That's fine. I just want to know what it is up front and know that we can connect. So when you're talking to people, make sure they appreciate that. Give them the things to be proud about. Show them reasons why this is going to benefit them. Because if you don't do that, you may get their interest for a couple of hours, maybe a couple of days, but it's not going to be long term. So I've always, just to finish up, Mark, one of the ways I've always approached it, usually I'm involved in things that, you know, with people that are in my same demographic, they see life in the same way that I see it. And up front, I square with them and say, this is what we're going to look to do. What do you want to get out of it? And I try to tell them how they can get what they want out of it by being involved. And you have to align people's interests. That's very, very important, or else whatever you're doing is going to ultimately fail in the long run.